Hello, welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger on Sunday, January 23rd, 2022. Good news, I have now gotten my booster shot. Definitely feeling that lump in my arm right now. And no, before you guys asked, I am not able to flick my finger and turn on the light or pick up magnet or any of that conspiracy nonsense. Okay, it's just like a regular shot. It goes in, it kind of sore, and it's probably going to be sore for a couple of days. Uh, Feeling a little bit of clamminess, sweaty, but uh, no overt symptoms of any side effect. So that's good. Anyway, now that booster shot is out of the way, hopefully life can go back to being normal for a little bit before we need the next one. Now, this is not a topic for the day, but I want to just quickly mention that some people say, well, when is this going to end? Like, are we just going to have to keep getting booster shot after booster shot? Well, I understand the concern behind this. Uh, yeah, what is this doing to our body, and how many of these do we have to get? Uh, I totally understand because there's part of me that definitely feel that as well. However, Johnny Tiger, just in case you guys don't know, Johnny Tiger has a body of a lion, but the immune system of a newborn lamb. My immune system has always been crappy as heck. And I think a big part of this is all the surgery I was put through when I was a child, and that totally jacked up my immune system because my body was so busy trying to recover from being cut open and stuff like that so many times when I was a child. So I never did develop a robust immune system. So this is a long-winded way of saying that even before this COVID nonsense, Johnny Tiger had to get flu shot every year, especially in the profession I work in martial arts and fitness. If I didn't get flu shot, and I didn't for the longest time, I went about 15 years after turning adult without getting flu shot. I went from 2000 to about 2015 without getting flu shot. And I kid you not, for those 15 years, it was bad. Every year I would get flu at least 4 times a year, and every time it would last for about a month or maybe 2 months. It was horrible. Uh, so ever since I started getting flu shot, I I still got the occasional sniffles and cold and stuff like that, but for the most part, nothing. For the most part, it whatever I would get would only maybe last a week, and then that's it. Um, Now, is this going to do something horrible to me 40 years down the road? Is it going to make me unable to have children? Well, you know what? I don't want children in the first place. And 40 years down the road, honestly, I don't really worry about that. I just want to be able to go through every year right now without having to spend 2 months in bed 4 times a year. So I'm already very well acquainted to needing a regimen of flu shots uh, on a regular basis. So if having to add a booster shot every so often is what it's going to take to protect me and those people around me, then so be it. Do I like it? No, I don't. But would I do it? Yes. Um, how did we even get onto that? Oh yeah, booster shot. Anyway, like I said, not the topic of the day. Today, I want to talk about something a little bit heavy, but there's a good, very valuable lesson in it, nonetheless. Before I go into my story, I would ask you to try to listen to the story in its entirety and step back from the characters in it and actually think about the situation itself rather than thinking about this person is not nice, that person is nice, and this person is got good intention in their mind, stuff like that. I would ask you to detach yourself a little bit from uh, analyzing each character and actually just listen to the main event itself, because I think by doing that you'll be able to get the lesson of the day a little bit easier rather than being emotionally invested in the characters. Okay, so this is actually a true story and just happened this morning. Well, the story actually didn't just happen this morning, but I was pulled into the story this morning. This morning, I was in that state where I was just groggy and just thinking about, well, I woke up but it's Sunday morning, there's nothing going on, might as well roll over, go back to sleep. When my phone rang and it turned out to be my father calling me from Taiwan. My father sounded so distraught, so depressed and down that it caught my attention immediately because I'm used to my father sounding angry. I'm used to my father sounding smug. I'm used to him sounding like the canary that just ate the bird. I'm used to him sounding like he's a scheming, plotting, evil character in the movie that he's going to do something naughty to somebody. But hearing him beaten, defeated, it's not an often thing. My father, after asking me if he disturbed my sleep, which already raised the red flag because usually he never gave a damn about that, told me that he got sold out by people that were closest to him. Honestly, I kind of knew who he was talking about because my father really doesn't have a lot of people close to him. I know I didn't do it. I know I was here in Canada. He's all the way over there in Taiwan, so I know I didn't do anything. So couldn't have been me. I know it wouldn't be my second sister or either of my brothers because none of us is near him. So I was already prepared when he told me that my older sister Annie and my mom sold him out, and he is so distraught, so shocked that this would be the case. That at the time in his life, 80 years old, and a lot of his days were spent in confusion, dementia-induced craziness, that at this last leg of his journey, the people that actually there supposedly on his side sold him out. So I asked him, I said, okay, so what happened? Now, if I have to tell it to you the way he told it to me, it would be a big jumble of self-recrimination and confusion and anger and resentment. So let me take the story back to its linear form rather than trying to tell it the way he does. Okay. Let me put it in chronological order. The story roughly goes that a few years ago, let's say 2 years ago. It started 2 years ago, uh, around the beginning of the pandemic. In fact, my parents were being evicted from their residence. Now, the circumstance around their residence is very long and convoluted, complicated, and uh, so let's not go into that. Long story short, they were getting thrown out of the place that they've been living in for the last 35 years of their life. They have nowhere to go. Well, I mean, nowhere easy, nowhere comfortable to go. When the news of this pending disaster first got to my father asked my cousin, who is a doctor and the dean of a local hospital. So my cousin is very well established, very successful, very smart. My father asked my cousin, um, would he help my father buy a house? Now, here is the thing. I want to make this absolutely clear. My father did not say buy a house for him, per se. Uh, what he actually suggested was, would you buy a house and then uh, you can rent most of it to other people and be a landlord and rent the first floor to me and your aunt. We'll still pay you rent. All I'm asking you is buy a house so I have somewhere to move to. Now, whether my cousin actually had the financial ability to accomplish that, which I think he did. I mean, he's a dean of a friggin' hospital. He's a doctor. His children are grown up. It's not like he had to pay for their school. Uh, so I think if he wanted to, he had the finance capability to do so. However, uh, I knew from the very outset, actually the rest of us, me, my mom, my sisters, we all knew he wasn't going to do it. Just because it's so much trouble being a landlord, it's so much trouble having to get a mortgage, and my cousin and my father were not really all that close to each other in the first place. So we didn't think he would do it. However, my cousin told my father that, uh, well, go do some research and then let me know where do you think, what do you have in mind? Where do you think is a good location? He basically didn't say no to my father when he really wanted to say no. He said to my dad, go look around, and let me know what you find. So to a desperate person like my father, what that meant was yes. While to the rest of us, what it meant was, I really don't want to talk about it right now. Go away. Unfortunately, the rest of us will never be able to talk any sense into my father. We were not able to convince him that he wasn't going to get this house idea through because he fully trusted my cousin. My cousin told him to go look. He went and looked. And more than that, he actually found a great deal and he actually secured a very good place uh, and uh, was able to get the price reduced by almost 15%. So my dad, long story short, did a lot of legwork only to have my cousin reject him on the day when he told my cousin, hey, I found this great place, and see, I even got the paperwork all filled out for you. You don't even have to do anything. I did all the legwork. I even got the price down to 15%. And and then my cousin told him, no, I don't think so. I don't want to do it. Now, on any normal human beings, I think this would have been a very pissy moment. I think on any normal human being, uh, disappointment, resentment, anger. Why did you make me do all this legwork when you didn't want to buy the house in the first place? Never mind a house. I mean, never mind a house. If today I ask you, if you say, hey, Johnny, should we get a new garbage can? And if I say, I don't know, go look around and see what you can find. And then you go to do a 2 hour research on Amazon and eBay and local Home Depot and finally found this nice, beautiful new garbage can that is uh, being discounted. And then you come to me and said, no, I wasn't going to buy one in the first place. I don't want it. I think you probably would get angry, right? I think any normal person would get kind of angry at this point. Now, keep in mind, my father is not what you would call a normal person. He is 80 years old. He got dementia. He spent most of his life being, well, like I like to describe him, a violent psychopath. So he lost his shit. He totally lost his shit. Um, Stormed out of my cousin's office, threatening all kind of unpleasant consequences, etc., etc., etc. Right. So now you just heard the beginning of this unhappy tale, the beginning of this conflict between my father and my cousin. Let me segue into 40 years ago. I said 30 years ago, 35, 40 years ago, when my cousin was in his 20s and trying to get into medical school, trying to get into university. Um, Back then, my family, my father's side of the family, very, very wealthy, very rich. My cousin's side of the family, very poor. Um, my cousin couldn't afford university. My father offered to pay for his tuition. My father bought him the most expensive suit, outfit, uh, briefcase, that so he wouldn't look bad when he went to university. My father, because the university was in our city rather than the city my cousin's family lived in, my father let him live in our house the whole time he was going to university, free, rent free, didn't have to pay for anything. And then 20 years later, he's now a doctor. However, his dream of becoming the dean of the hospital was constantly being blocked by other competition because other people have political connections and wealth and better degree, better mark in school, better accomplishment. So my cousin basically got stuck being just a doctor for 20 years without advancement. He came to my father and asked my father for help, and my father was able to use some of his local connections and got him into becoming the dean of the hospital. So, in a sense, even though, yes, what he has today, being a dean of a hospital, being a doctor, a lot of it is his own accomplishment. He studied, he did his own homework, but it we cannot we cannot uh, omit the fact that without my father's financial support and uh, and other influences, it's quite likely that my cousin wouldn't have been able to get to where he got to today. Now, that is really neither here or there, of course, because my father, being his uncle, doing all those things, that doesn't mean that my cousin have to buy him a house. That's two separate matter. But I'm putting this in there so you guys can maybe understand a little bit more why my father felt so angry. Okay, so back to the beginning of the conflict. My father stormed out of the office, threatening all kind of unpleasant consequences. And from that day on, everything my dad tried to do was my dad and my cousin sued each other, and there's a big court battle that spanned the last 2 years and is still going on. And there's a lot of smearing each other's name on social media, and trying to intimidate each other, and trying to uh, uh, get the whole family involved. Every step of the way, my father was somehow lagging behind. It's like everything he wanted to do, whatever argument he wanted to put forth to in court, or whatever action he tried to take, he was always being outmaneuvered. Sound magical? No, because every time my father got an idea into his head, especially with regarding to legal matters, the first person he spoke to was my mom. The second person he spoke to was my sister. My sister, by the way, worked at the same hospital that my cousin is the dean of, so he is essentially her boss. So, needless to say, that for the last 2 years, my mom and my sister have been passing information onto my cousin this whole time. Every time my father said, I'm going to do this tomorrow, I'm going to use this argument against him, I'm going to write this article about him, as soon as he's out of the room, either my mom or my sister would be sending my cousin a text in detail on what is coming. Did they do it with the intention to sell my father out? I don't really think so. As I tried to explain to my father, I think everyone just trying to minimize damage, trying to do some damage control. I think everyone just trying to keep this contained and hoping that you guys stop butting head with each other. I think that's it. That's all. At least I am trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, how did my father find out about this backstabbing betrayal by his own daughter and his wife? Because him and my cousin are going to see each other in court again next week. And before they appear in court, my father have all the court documents, of course, so he can prepare his own argument. He has the court document submitted by my cousin, and in my cousin's statement, there had many records of messages from my mom and my sister that he included in his statement. I don't know why he did that. I don't understand it. I'm not going to judge it, but this is one of those little moral lesson that sometimes it's best not to go behind someone's back, even if your intention was good. Because if my mom and my sister would have told my dad right off the bat in the beginning, okay, we are not going to be on your side, we're not going to be on his side. What he say, we'll tell you. What you say, we'll tell him. If they could be forthright about that right from the beginning, then at least it wouldn't look like such a betrayal when my father thought that they were on his side this whole time, and now suddenly seeing everything they said, and some of these were really bad things. Like there's one statement my father read to me that's included in the statement my cousin submitted. It's a text message from my sister, and my sister basically said to my cousin, "Yeah, he's crazy. Don't forgive him, and just make sure you protect yourself. But I don't give a damn if you get him put away in jail." Wow, like, ouch. To see your own daughter say that about you uh, in this way, that's painful. That's painful. Now, do I feel sorry for my father? I do. I do. It's a painful way to find out the truth, to find out, that your wife, your daughter, they're actually not siding with you. They're actually siding with the other side. However, that is not the lesson I want us to look at today. Because while my father was reading these statements to me, there was one statement that really jumped out, and I think it's something that's worthwhile looking at. It was a text from my mom to my cousin. This text was sent the day after my dad stormed out of his office in anger. So the day when this problem started. Let me take you back to that day. After my father stormed out in anger, he brooded for a bit on his own and got angry, probably broke a few things in his bedroom, and did whatever he felt he needed to do to release some anger. And then he decided, okay, maybe I overreacted. Maybe we need to just talk about this. Maybe I misunderstood him. Maybe he didn't actually say no. Maybe I misunderstood him. Maybe I overreacted. So my father said to my mom, "I'm going to go talk to him again tomorrow." Now, something, somewhere, somehow possessed my mom at this point to send my cousin the following text: "Your uncle is coming to you tomorrow. Prepare yourself." So, next day, when my father went to my cousin's office with the intention to have a nice civilized conversation, before he even got into the office, my cousin had security guard waiting there, and they locked my father in the hospital's elevator for 20 minutes before throwing him out of the hospital. I don't know if the rest of you see that where this is where the irony here is. He fully intended to have a peaceful talk. He fully intended to go there to have a peaceful resolution. But because my mom's text to my cousin said your uncle is coming, prepare yourself, my cousin took it as a warning that my father was coming to hurt him. So he reacted in a very hostile, defensive way, which humiliated my father, which turned this into a problem that is now too hard, too brittle, too big for them to be able to put it down. Sometimes the worst outcome, the worst consequences come from the best of intentions. My mother, being the aunt in this case, probably felt she was obligated to tell her nephew, "Hey, your uncle's coming." Uh, But if she would have only worded that statement, that text, a little bit different, such as, "Hey, your uncle want to come and talk to you tomorrow, so I hope you guys have a good chat. Be nice to each other." Or just something like, "Your uncle is coming to see you tomorrow. Do you have time?" Something rather than, "Your uncle's coming tomorrow. Prepare yourself." It's quite possible that this whole mess could have been avoided from the get-go.